Hello, Big Team. Hello, friends. Welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it is time for me to share with you what I read in the month of January. It has been a great start to the year so far, and if you haven't heard, I started a brand new channel. It's called The Reading Reseller, and on that channel, I am focusing more on reselling and decluttering as I resell and vice versa. So it's more of a goal-setting channel, and I report back each day as to how I did on my goals the day before. And so I'm hoping that some of you, as well as other people I meet along the way, will join me in working daily to meet our goals for the year. So that is what I'm doing over there. But here on this channel, it is my readathon season. Little House Readathon, and that is from February 7th through February 10th. And then March Mystery Madness. That is coming up very soon. And whenever March Mystery Madness is over, I'll be traveling for a couple of weeks. But right after I get back, near the end of April, it'll be time for Amish in April. And after that, it will be middle grade May. So stay tuned, because so many great readathons are coming your way very soon. But for now, let's get back to what I read in the month of January. So I read a total of 27 books. 10 of those were in print and 17 of them were on audio. I had 6 books that were romance, all from one series that I'm working on trying to finish, and I'm almost there. 7 of them were mysteries, not all cozy, a kind of a variety of mysteries. 9 of the books were for younger readers. 1 was a children's storybook. 1 or 2 were middle grade, and the most of them were appropriate for teens or middle grade. And then 3 of them were nonfiction, and 2 of them were just other fiction that don't fall into any of those categories. Let's start with the nonfiction, because that's really how I start my day. I do a Bible study devotional time, and I am still reading these transcript books by Les Feldick. It's called Through the Bible, and I finished book 6, and I have started book 7, and I don't own book 8. I have all of the first 12 except for book 8, and I don't want to skip over it, but these are kind of hard to find. If you go on eBay and look for these, they can get pretty expensive. So I am just hoping that I will happen across another good haul of those like I did early last year. Then another book I read, not a Christian book, but I got the feeling that the author may be a Christian. This is called Procrastinate on Purpose, 5 Permissions to Multiply Your Time by Rory Vaden. He also wrote a book called Take the Stairs, which I am going to look for and read probably pretty soon. But meanwhile, I'm reading another book by Laura Vanderkam. But I listened to one by her at the very beginning of the year, the first day of January. I like to start the year out with something that has to do with goal setting, productivity, time management, something like that. I'll put a picture of it up here. I can't remember the exact title, but it's something about 168 hours, because that is the number of hours that we all have in one week. So that was good. And now, like I said, I'm reading another book by her in February, and I'll tell you more about that later. One of my favorite genres to read is mystery, and I read some pretty good ones this month. 2 for my mystery book club. 1 was the one that we discussed in January, and then I also read the one for February and got that one in and done just on the last day of January. But the one we read for January is book 2 in the Thursday Murder Club, called The Man Who Died Twice. I listened to this one on audio, and I have to say I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the first book, but it was still really good. It was a little harder to follow. There was a lot going on, and I think I would have probably enjoyed it more if I had read it in print instead of listening on audio. I would have probably understood it a little bit more and followed it a little better, because I did read the first one in print, and I loved it. Still, though, it was very enjoyable. I definitely want to continue reading the series. I would consider this a cozy mystery. While a couple of the sleuths were professionals at one point in some type of law enforcement, they're retired now, and it's just very humorous. It's a lot of fun, and I think that if you enjoy cozy mysteries, you would like this. But I think if you hate cozy mysteries, you might not care for it. That was the case with one of our book club members who does not like anything fluffy or cozy. She did not like this at all. So anyway, even though it may not technically be a super cozy mystery, I still think that if you enjoy cozy mysteries, that you would like this as well. And it is a lot of fun. And for our February book club, we are reading Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Now, this was pretty funny, but I don't know if I would consider this one cozy just because it was full of foul language. I would get so aggravated with these characters because they just had such foul mouths. Now, our main character, Vera Wong, was not foul-mouthed, and she was absolutely my favorite character. She is fantastic. I sort of relate her back to Edna Mode from The Incredibles. That's how I picture her. So if you like Edna Mode and you like The Incredibles, then I think you would like Vera Wong. But anyway, this was a lot of fun. Foul language aside, it was a really good mystery. I did start to figure it out about 2/3 of the way through, and I didn't know how it was going to play out, and it played out differently than I thought, but I was right about who I thought it was going to be. But there was a lot more to it, and definitely worth the read. It was a lot of fun. Just know there's a lot of cussing in this book. I've mentioned earlier that I am hooked now on the Jack Reacher series by Lee Child, and I got through 2.5 Reacher books in January. I am currently in the middle of Bad Luck and Trouble, which is the book that season 2 of Reacher is based on. I did go ahead and watch all of season 2 before getting very far in the book, but it's okay. I enjoyed this season, and I'm enjoying the book. But anyway, before that, I read or listened to One Shot. This is the book that the first Tom Cruise movie was based on. And I had almost kind of forgotten about it. And then I started listening to this, and I thought, this seems kind of familiar. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is the Tom Cruise movie. Now, I haven't watched the second Tom Cruise movie because it's based on book like 18 or something. So I'm going to hold off on it. But then I listened to The Hard Way. I didn't enjoy The Hard Way as much as some of the earlier books. Still very good, very compelling, and I highly recommend the series. Then for cozies, I listened to 2 of the Jen McKinley books for our Triple Top Treat read-along. In January, we were scheduled to read one book from the Cupcake Bakery Mysteries called Dying for Devil's Food, and also one book from the Library Lovers Mysteries, Word to the Wise, and both of these were great. I think I enjoyed this one a lot more. In fact, I think I rated this one 5 stars. I can't even remember now off the top of my head what they were about, but I did enjoy them a lot. And then I read one faith-based cozy mystery. I finally got back into the Patchwork Mysteries, published by Guidepost. This is book 6 in the series. This is called Pieces of the Past. It's by Susan Page Davis. This series is about a quilt restorer, and she solves historical mysteries. Sometimes she finds clues in quilts. In this book, she is searching for an old girlfriend of a man who's in the nursing home with her father. And it was a little bit twisty. There was some interesting things that happened in the book. How it all played out was a scenario that I have read before in another book, in a historical fiction book. But I got to thinking about it, and I thought, this book is older. So this author may have had that original idea. Still a good twist, and I won't give you the spoilers, but I enjoyed this book, and I have really enjoyed this series. So I've already started the next book. My goal for 2024 is to read one of these each month, and also to read one of the Home to Heather Creek books starting in February. I was already one ahead in Heather Creek than this one. So now I am reading book 7 of both series, and I plan to read one from each series each month now for the rest of the year. It won't finish either series for me, but it will make some great progress, and then by next year I should be able to finish both series. The romances I read are going to be real simple. All 6 were from one series. I listened to them all on audio, and I didn't really love any of them. But I own most of them, and I'm such a finisher that I decided to go ahead and listen to them since they're right there on Hoopla, ready for me to check out. And I am really getting ready to be done with the series, though. I got through 6 of them. I had one more already borrowed, and so I'm listening to that right now. There is one more to the series that hasn't shown up on Hoopla yet. I'm not going to rush to finish it and spend time reading it in print, since I have not really enjoyed these last few books as much as I had enjoyed some of the first half of the series. But anyway, let me tell you what it is. It's the Twilight, Texas series by Lori Wilde. Now, the first book I happen to have here, it's called The Sweetheart Knitting Club. I remember reading this book, or starting to read it, when I was in jury duty several years ago. And it was okay. I didn't love it, but I just fell in love with the covers, and I had started collecting them. So I went ahead and read book 2, and I really did enjoy it. Then they started showing up on audio, and I've listened to, I guess, probably all of them since then, except for one novella that I was able to find in print. I had gotten up through book 5 last year around January, but I forgot that I had listened to book 5. So when I started borrowing them again, I guess in December, I accidentally borrowed 5 again, and I just listened to it again. It was fine. That story was actually pretty good, but then they kind of started going downhill, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But let me show you the books. Anyway, I'll Be Home for Christmas. I believe this is number 7, Cowboy, It's Cold Outside. The next one is A Wedding for Christmas. I think the next one is one I don't have. It's called The Christmas Key. And then I believe this is book 10, The Christmas Dare. I may be getting these out of order. If I get them out of order, I will edit them into the right order, or I'll just put what book number it is. The Christmas Backup Plan, I don't own. And then the last one I finished up in January was Second Chance Christmas. This one was better than most of these others. The problem I'm having with this is a couple of things. I think I've burned out on the series. I've listened to too many of them right in a row, so that all the little corny jokes and things that the author likes to throw into every book, I'm more aware of it because I'm listening to one after another. Like, I'm almost positive every single book, someone has said more than once something like, "Hells to the no," or "Hells to the yes." Really? Does anyone actually ever say that? And just other, just little stupid, corny things that are just starting to gnaw at me. Then the sex scenes. I don't think the earlier books had such graphic sex scenes. They're very, very descriptive. And I feel like in most of these later books, from the first page, when they meet, they jump right to thinking about sex. And if they don't have it soon, they're thinking about it through the whole book, and they keep bringing it up. And, then when they have it, which is usually too soon, then they're worried that they shouldn't have. And it's just so annoying. And the very last one that I listened to in January, I said it was really better. I enjoyed it more, but it was annoying because at the beginning of the book, she was attracted to this guy, and she must have said in her head and on the page, he has a girlfriend, blah, 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 but he has a girlfriend, blah, 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 but he has a girlfriend, at least a dozen times, like in the first chapter or two. And I'm like, okay, we get it. He's got a girlfriend, which probably means that he broke up with her and you just don't know it because you have drilled that point in that he has a girlfriend. And of course, that's the way that was the case. I know. You guys, I'm sure, are yelling at the video right now going, well, why did you keep reading it if you're so upset about it? I'm not upset about it. And like I said, I'm a finisher. I've collected the books. I wanted to get through them. I have now finished all of the ones that I own. The one I'm listening to now, I don't own. So now that I have shown these to you, I've talked about them, These are all going in my eBay store in one big lot, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy to make some room on my shelves, and yay. So anyway, if you have ever seen those covers and thought, oh, these look really cute, the first few, with the exception of book one wasn't that great, but I'd say 2 through 4 or 5 are pretty cute. And the stories I thought were good and entertaining and fun, but then they just kind of went downhill from there. That's just my opinion, but that's all I can share is my opinion. So let's talk about the other 2 fiction books that I read, and then the books for younger readers, and then we'll wrap it up. So not only did I pick back up with the Patchwork Mysteries, I also picked back up with the Cape Light series by Thomas Kincaid and Catherine Spencer. This is book 6, and I believe this is the very last book that I had not read that was on my Stackmas tree from like 2018, Christmas of 2018 or something crazy like that. Anyway, so I'm very excited to finally get back to the series. This was really good. It's not as long as it looks. This is a large print copy, but this is what I had. These are not on audio anywhere, and I really enjoyed it. So I didn't even really decide until about halfway through the month that I was going to pick it up and read it, and I'm glad that I did. So now that I've read this, I'm kind of in the mood to continue on with the series. So I think I mentioned it in my February TBR. I have not started reading the next book yet, but I think towards the end of the month I will pick it back up, and I might just read one every month this year because why not have Christmas all year? And then another book that I read or listened to in January finished up a trilogy for me. It was one that I was not excited about. I had read the first one a year or 2 ago. It was a buddy read, and I finally picked up book 2 in December, but I didn't have time to get to book 3. The trilogy is called The Wicked City. It's a historical series, but it's got 2 timelines. One is back in the 20s, the 1920s, and one is set, I think, in 1998, which at this point is pretty much historical. I liked the 1920s storyline much better. The main character from the 1998 storyline was not a person that I enjoyed reading about. She made so many poor life choices, and the crazy thing is that her family would just tell her she's perfect and all of this, and I thought, are you looking at the same person I am? Because I am not seeing that. Of course, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, but this girl made her fair share for sure. I just did not care for her storyline, and it did tie in together, but definitely the 1920s storyline was more interesting. Anyway, all that to say, I didn't love book 2. I really had a hard time getting into it, but it got better as I went along, and as a result, I ended up enjoying book 3 a little more than I thought I would. I think I still gave the whole series 3 stars. There were some good parts and some parts that I just didn't care for at all. But if you like to read books about the 1920s and Prohibition, then you might be interested in this trilogy. But just know there is a lot of foul language, especially in the 1998 part. It was okay, but it didn't blow me away or anything. The last segment is the books I read for younger readers. I read 2 books with my daughter Emily right at the beginning of the month. She brought me this book. This is a VeggieTales little golden book called St. Nicholas, A Veggie Christmas Story. And this was really cute. And then she found this book, and I don't think we've ever read this. And this is another book that was given to her by my mom. It doesn't say the year, but she would usually write in a book that she was giving to Emily or Katie. So this is actually a block book or a board book, and each page has a short Bible story, and it also has a flap that you can open and read a scripture or a little prayer. I think most of them are scriptures. And anyway, we read this. I don't think we have ever read this entire book before. It's got about 25 stories, so we missed a couple of days, but and we didn't start until maybe the 3rd or 4th of the month. So anyway, we were able to comfortably read one a day and finish it by the end of the month, and I'm really glad we did. It was a good little book. Anyway, it's called My Favorite Bible Storybook for Toddlers, and I thought it was really good. The rest of the books probably would be considered YA. This next one, probably more middle grade than YA, even though The Sleuth is a teen. I think that the Nancy Drew series is probably read more by middle grade kids than teens. But anyway, I am still participating with Mitzi in her Nancy Drew read along. She's got a Voxer group. If you're interested in joining, let me know in the comments and I'll let her know and she can add you to the group. But in January, we read The Mystery of Lilac Inn. And of course, I had read this before a couple of times and it was really good. I didn't remember much about this one, but I really enjoyed reading it again and discussing it with the group. The next one I don't have a physical copy of, and this is a book from a series that I read a few years ago. I did a whole video about all of the books by Allie Carter, and this is a novella from the Heist Society series, which is a YA series about some teens who are expert thieves, and this is a novella set at Christmas. It's called The Grift of the Magi, and I had been trying to get around to reading it for a couple of years. It was really the last thing from that series and really any of her books that I had not read. So it's only on ebook as far as I know, and so I checked it out on Hoopla and I read it on my phone, and it was really good. It was a little longer than I thought it was going to be. She's got a few other companion stories that are very short, but this one was more like a half-length novella, and it was really good. If you have not ever read any books by Allie Carter, I would recommend really all of her series. I've got a video I'll try to find and put here if you want to check it out, but she is a really good author of YA and middle grade books, and I have really enjoyed everything that I've read by her. All right, I've got one more set of books. This is from a series by Robin Jones Gunn. It's a YA series, but it would also be perfectly appropriate to reread by teens, although the characters in the stories are in high school and they are dating and things like that. I think that this series is great. I am looking forward to finishing up reading it so that I can add these to our church library. I want to get, and I've said this before, I want to get several books and series for young readers into our church library because our youth program is growing very quickly, and I want to get several books in there that I can recommend to them. So I listened to the first 10 books on audio. The first 6 I listened to in December, and then I listened to 7 through 10 in January. That just left books 11 and 12 to read in print, and I read book 11. So I will plan on reading book 12 in the month of February, and then there's also one companion book I have to read, and then I'll be able to take those up to church. So here are the titles. Book 7 is True Friends. Book 8 is Starry Night. Book 9 is 17 Wishes. Book 10 is A Time to Cherish. And book 11 is Sweet Dreams. This is just a really great Christian series for teens. I wish I had had something like this to read when I was a teen. I think I would have really enjoyed it. The values in here and the teen angst and the struggles are there, all while trying to live a Christian life. And I think that this is a fantastic series for teens and middle schoolers alike. So that is everything that I read in the month of January. Let me know in the comments what you read in January. What was your favorite book of the month? Have you read any of these books? Are there any books that I read in January that you would like to read? Let's just chat. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.